Welcome to the AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, my guests are Shannon Wischmeyer and Travis Siebert from DealerPay. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Let's get started with a little bit about you guys. Shannon, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and the career path that led you to where you are today with DealerPay?
Absolutely. So I started with DealerPay about 4 years ago, and I came from the dealership space. I was a multi-dealer controller for 22 years. And, I did everything in the office from day one. Every position there was ended up as the controller. And once I decided that I no longer wanted to be at the dealership, I had used DealerPay, so it was just a natural progression for me to still be able to visit the dealerships, but I get to leave as well.
Nice. You got to eat dinner at home sometimes,
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
How about you, Travis?
Yeah, so I've been in the merchant service credit card space for almost 11 years and kind of found that dealerships were my vertical of choice. They kind of found me, I guess you could say. Working with controllers and I just kind of got along, and then over the years putting things together with the company I was at, and then found DealerPay as a competitor, and then now full circle, and it's been a little over a year, and been working with Julie and her team and Shannon covering all of sales.
Great. Let's talk about a little bit of what you guys do.
Sure.
Dealerships traditionally, you'd take your RO and you'd go to the wait in line where they had the one place to pay. Or if you needed to use a credit card when you were selling a car, ironically, you got to stand in that same line.
Yes.
Now customers demand more. They demand lots of ways to pay. How is technology helping dealerships kind of meet their customers where they're at and reach their expectations for how they can pay?
I would say the traditional cashier is still in place in some dealerships, but a lot of dealers have moved to advisors cashing out their customers, where they each have their own terminal. They can answer all of the questions for the customers at that time. They don't have to go back and forth from the cashier to the advisor. And it makes it very, seamless for the customer. They can send payment requests to pay before they show up at the dealership and even review a copy of their RO at that time.
Yeah. No, and again, the biggest thing we're adding to as of late is mobile payments. So now we have a lot of people want to be, again, going back to the CSI scores and things that customers are looking for convenience. We have dealerships doing oil changes in their driveways now and having the ability to take technology with them that protects them from chargebacks, but also gets that signature capture and payment done. The customer loves it, but keeps the office staff happy because they're getting everything they want for the controllers of the world. It's something we really strive to make sure our dealers have all that stuff.
What's that look like? So if somebody comes to your house to do work, mobile work at your house, are they using a phone to capture your signature? Is it a special type of device? Like what does it look like?
It's a special device. It's just a payment terminal, but they're wireless. They run on Wi-Fi as well as cellular service. So they just basically have our mobile app on the device. They can pull the information from the DMS integration. They can hand key a payment. The customer they can even send a payment request, from that terminal as well. But it's all it's just like being in the dealership, but you're in your own driveway.
Wow.
Yeah, technology's come a long way, so it's been fun to see our dealerships really take advantage of that for their customers.
Yes.
You mentioned CSI and improving the customer's experience by having more than one payment option available to them.
Yeah.
Like, what are you seeing in your dealerships? Are you like seeing evidence that this is really taking place and the customers are having better experience?
So yeah, the technology is a big part of it. Customers need the convenience because that's everything anymore. People want Apple Pay, they want it fast, they want it easy. You're going to Chick-fil-A and you can order before you get there, right? So it's something that we wanted to strive to give our dealerships those options for those customers because we do have them looking. They want to be in and out, painless. Like Shannon mentioned, being the last point of contact is a big deal. So if it's somebody who's dropping off the vehicle at their home or if it's somebody who's in the checkout line because they're going through the service bays and they want to make it quick and painless, having those mobile options are a big deal because customers love and they are giving us great reviews on that.
Awesome. Like I can't have payment processors in the studio and not talk about surcharges and the regulations. It seems like every interview has regulations of some sorts these days. But tell me a little bit about surcharging and the regulations around it and how dealers can navigate that.
It's a very interesting conversation. I have it daily. We had some yesterday. There's a lot of misinformation out there sometimes. I think there's providers out there just trying to move a product instead of actually understanding how the dealerships function in each individual state, because that also matters. But mostly it's just educating them and making sure they're doing right by their customers. Surcharging is compliant if you do certain steps. So what we do is we help them navigate those, put up appropriate signage, train their teams. We do all the hands-on for all those processes and really make sure they understand why they're doing it and what it's going to benefit the dealership.
Wow, so when you guys start to work with the dealership, you go on site and train their people, and I mean, are you doing more than this is how the technology works? You're actually helping them with the processes that support the technology too?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
What is it? I mean, what does that look like? Like, do you send one or two people? Is it a day? Is it a couple days? Is it ongoing? Like,
Really, it depends on the size of the dealership and the amount of employees, but we can have 1 to 2 employees, doing the installation, doing the training, and if it's a multi-dealer group, it could span over a week. Just depends on, on all the size and amount of terminals.
And honestly, it's dependent on the dealership and what they need to, because ultimately our goal is to make sure they're doing what they need to do every day, and we take this pain point of rolling out a new product, training their team off that table. We do that. That's what we do great, and they sell cars great, so we try to mirror that and what we serve for them.
Absolutely. And in the sales process, we try to identify those pain points and where they're having process issues, and we try to help fix that as well.
Correct.
interesting. You mentioned the mobile tech that has a payment, the ability to take payment. You mentioned the service writer having the ability to either take payment or send somebody a message where they can make payment.
Yes.
What about the sales side? Like, is this something where each sales manager? Is it something at the desk? Is it people have an app, or like how's that work?
All the above, really.
Really?
So our F&I teams have taken payments where they share a terminal, because our terminals can work on Wi-Fi, or they're not actually hardwired in anymore, so you can bounce between offices. If it's a down payment on a vehicle from somebody out of state, which you're hearing more and more of, I want that truck that you have on your lot. How can I send you a down payment? We have the ability for the F&I team to send those links out so they can make payments before they show up. Wow. So it's a lot of really fun features. Again, like Shannon said, during our sales process is asking those questions and really understanding where they're missing. And then a lot of times they don't realize there's even things out there they can do. So we kind of, it's more of an interview more than it is anything else. I think we're more consultants than we are salesmen.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, and even from the consumer side, I've purchased a car in the past year and they used dealer pay. Sitting across the desk, they sent me a payment request where I just filled out all the information, made my down payment, and
wow.
The days of having to walk all the way across the dealership to a cashier are over.
Yes.
Wow.
So it's making it a little more convenient for sure.
Wow, I just bought a new car with my wife like a month ago, and I was shocked because we found the car. I called the guy and I said, I'll come tonight to get the car. And I said, do you need me to give you a credit card for a down payment, to hold the car? And he's like, oh no, we don't do that. So he must not use dealer pay.
Not yet. But
he
no,
must not be there yet.
Yeah, correct. It's interesting though, because it's a space that's ever evolving, right? So from your big FTC push, PCI compliance, all the things that dealerships are now being pushed to the forefront of to make sure they're up to date. That's where we really help them there too. And some dealerships just don't realize they have those options.
I did want to ask you guys about being dealer specific, because there's a lot of companies out there that do payment processing that are just kind of like, we'll do it all.
Sure.
What are some of the? We've touched some of them, but can you tell me a little bit more about what you would tell a dealer when you're talking to him or her about using a dealer specific payment processing company?
So I would say using a dealer specific payment processor, we understand how the dealership works. The majority of our employees have worked in the dealership in some capacity, so we are very familiar with those processes. So we know how busy all of the employees are, and we try to, the pain points, we try to create processes that help them. We know they're busy, so we make it very easy. It's very user-friendly for the dealership employee as well as for the consumer.
Yeah, working with the DMSs that they use too is a big deal. Like taking away those second steps, third steps when they're trying to process a payment even. People can write down the wrong number. They don't connect it later. So the office staff's trying to figure out what receipt goes where. So like those little things that we do as a technology to pull some information from the DMS over helps a ton. But ultimately it's understanding the flow. And we have dealerships that want to have all the fun things. We have email, text, ACH, check, all those things, but we also can roll it out in phases. So really, it's more, again, I like the idea of consulting, because ultimately, if we try to pull it all at once, I know sometimes it's a little too much, and we can step it out based on what their needs are.
Yes, and from my own personal experience using dealer pay in the dealership as the accounting manager, it really saves a ton of time. You no longer have to chase the employees down. Did you take this payment from this customer? What is this receipt for? It is all within the reporting right there. You don't really have to get up from your desk. And I would say that it probably saved me about 20 hours a month in the daily reconciliation.
It's really fun. The days of me getting a call and going, I can't find a receipt, are gone. Yes. Now everything's in one spot. Even month ends in one spot. It makes it very, very easy for a dealership to function at a higher level. I always joke with the owners when they're talking to us, make sure the controllers don't see this before you're ready, because when they see how easy that step's going to be, they get excited because now they're not chasing paper. Now it's all in one place, which is really big.
Interesting. Now you mentioned all those different ways to pay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to try to relist them because I can't remember all of them. There was a lot there.
There's a lot going on for sure. Yeah.
Now, when you do implement this solution in a dealership, what percentage of customers are taking advantage of these different ways to pay?
I would say most of the ones I've been talking to are taking advantage of all of them on some level now, whether it's through a third-party provider, something that the OEMs are wanting them to try. But what we do is make it a little bit easier. We consolidate it all in one spot. So it's hard for an office manager or controller, Shannon back in the day, to go, okay, I have to go here to find my text to pay. I have to go here for maybe trying to email. And you're kind of a la carte in it to make it work. But then the reporting and the clunkiness on the back end is a little heavy. So what we do is kind of consolidate into one spot where you can go from one screen, sending you a payment, like for that car you talked about. I can email it to you, text it to you, send you a payment request, store your card on file if you're going to buy something from me later, all from one spot. So it's taken that convenience factor to the next level.
Oh, wow. So like before dealer pay, you'd be in there looking at your ROs. And
with the credit card receipts,
looking at
trying
all
to
these
match everything up. And if there's not if there's a random credit card receipt, no RO, or vice versa, you have to chase people down. What is this for?
Yeah. It ties it all together. It makes it really, really seamless for the back end side. Yes. I've not heard one office manager upset at any of it, because at the end of it, it's making their life easier to balance on a daily basis. And especially if you're with one of our integrated partners, we give you kind of what I call our tattletale system, or checks and balances. So if we have 40 transactions for the day, but we know they have 5 payments outstanding, we're going to flag those for you. So instead of having to go through all 40, like Shannon said, to figure out where this $500 go, we're going to tell you, here's your top 5 places we should look first to help you reconcile what you see in the DMS compared to what you got in your bank. And again, they love that feature because it, again, saves them time.
Wow. Well, you said 20 hours a week or 20 hours a month. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in fact, we've even, we have a little bit even more robust reporting now than even when I used it. We now have, with the DMS integrations, where you can actually download your daily deposit and upload it into the DMS with the account numbers, the amounts, the RO, which ties it to which RO is which. And you just upload it, review it, and post it.
Wow.
It's great.
Now, from the customer, like the customer that's doing the services standpoint, how quickly do they adopt all these things? I mean, is it just, you turn it on and all of a sudden people are just paying all these ways? Or is there like point of sale stuff like, hey, now we have the ability to take this? Or like, how do you educate the dealer's customers?
It's interesting to see when I'm in the install, I'm at even a dealership like we visited yesterday, to see these customers come up and they're excited about the new options they have. It's fun because all of us understand that technology is coming. We're all conveniently buying things from our phone without even having to see things anymore. So adding that part of that pain point of having to get out of their car or wait for somebody in that line like you mentioned earlier, and now they're paying before they go and they walk in, they grab their keys and they're out the door to the next appointment. They love it. It's, again, the rollout part of it for the dealership is part of it too, but then ultimately, like you're not wrong, the customer understanding what they have now is fun, and seeing like, oh my gosh, I can make my payment now from my office. This is great. So they've done it in other places. Now the dealership space is just catching up and giving those options for sure.
And one other payment option that Travis didn't even mention was the buy now, pay later option. We can send you a link if a customer has a large service job that maybe they want to make payments on. They can, just from our website, the payment link that we send them, the buy now, pay later is an option. They basically input their information and they get an instant decline or approval.
Oh, wow.
So, and then that goes directly back to the dealership, and they receive the payment once they accept it. They receive the payment the next day.
Oh, wow. That's super cool. Huh?
Yes.
I mean, that definitely helps. I mean, I used to work for a car dealer where he would like talk to people. Like if they had a big repair, he would like personally loan them the money.
Oh, wow.
there are that. I mean, we have the ability to even set our system to do what's called a recurring payment plan. So we can set you up on a payment plan. Just dealers, they can do it themselves, right?
They can.
Yeah,
Yes.
$100 a month for the next 10 months to help pay for a bill. We can do that in our system, but the buy now, pay later is giving us that versatility to help the customers who just need another option.
Yeah, and I think people are really used to seeing that. I mean, you go onto Amazon and you buy something that costs $100, and it gives you the option to pay like over 6 months.
Yes. Interest-free for 6 months.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, Brian.
Thank you for taking the time to join us for this AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, my guests have been Shannon Wischmeyer and Travis Siebert from DealerPay. We hope to see you again on a future episode. This one's Over the Curb and Burning Gas.